Hello, and welcome to another episode of Driving with Sean and
Christina
of Pretty Home Realty. And we're talking about property management today. And this video is meant for you if you are an owner or if you are thinking about having your property managed. So there's something that we wanted to address today, and we had a really good question from one of our owners. So they are wondering, hey, if their tenant is needs to pay by the 1st, why is it that they get paid by the 15th? That's 15 days. All right? I think that's a great question. So let's get right into it. So the first thing is, yes, the tenants are supposed to pay by the 1st. However, there is a grace period of 5 days in which the tenants do not get charged. So the tenants, sometimes they do pay by or before the 1st. However, most do not. So that's just the reality of it. So some do pay by the 5th, and there are a couple things to think about even with that. So let's just say on the 5th they make a payment. Now we have a couple ways for them to pay. They can pay using the system that we have. They have a portal, and when they log into the portal, they can pay. They can pay with their card, or just, they have different options. So when they pay, it registers that they have paid. And let me give you an example of why that money doesn't immediately get paid out, because there's a couple reasons. So initially, when they would pay, boom, we would pay that money out immediately, even though we had to, we had up until the 15th. However, sometimes those payments are made by check. Sometimes they're made to a bank, and they can rescind those payments. They can rescind with a credit card. They can rescind it. Also, with a check, they can cancel the check, and that has happened before. Now, if the check is canceled and then we send out payment to the owner, and then the check, then that
the payment's reversed.
Right, the payment's reversed, then that owner could have gotten payment that they never got. Now, if we actually pay a owner that way, as far as accounting goes, I mean, basically that means we will be paying from some other owner's money, and that's called commingling, and that is illegal here in the state of Michigan. You cannot commingle funds. So we can't take from someone else's funds, another owner, to pay another owner. So we have to make sure basically that process, that the funds actually not only that are paid, but they go through, and then we have to pay them out to another to the different owners. Now, depending on the owner's banking system, they may hold it after it comes from our system, because we're paying through a portal. We pay it out. That's just the accounting software. When it hits the individual banks, they may hold it to make sure it clears the bank. So those are just some things that to consider, because they do come into play. All right. Would you like to add anything to that?
I think you covered it well. So
Okay.
there is a delay. The banks do not pull the money out instantly and put it into the owner's bank account, they don't put the money instantly into our bank account when the tenant pays. So there are a couple of days of lag time in between. So if somebody paid on the 5th and it was after banking hours, then if the 5th was a Friday, nothing would go through till Monday.
Right.
And then
Also holidays.
yeah, holidays are something to consider too. Days at the banks that are closed. So then on Monday, that would be the 8th. And it might take a day to clear the check. Or 2 days. So now we're at the 10th.
Right.
And then it takes a couple of days for it to go into the owner's bank account. Generally.
Right. So those are some things to really consider, and that is also kind of like a worst case scenario, right? So the other side of it is some tenants do pay ahead of schedule, and guess what? For those owners, they get their money quicker. It just happens like that. So unfortunately, it's going to depend on the tenant also. There is one other thing as well to be considered in this, and that is also the accounting is batched. The accounting is batched. So what that means is, for example, our processor, what happens is he'll go in on Monday and he'll go in on Friday to see. He goes in no matter what on the 1st and the 5th, right? To make sure that the payments have come through, so he can get them through quickly. As long as it's not, obviously the weekend or a holiday. The other thing is, if it's not there, he's going to check the following Monday and the following Friday and so forth. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of systems in place, so that hopefully that explains why we have the maximum of 15 days. So if you had any questions, that was a really good question that was asked, and they're wondering why. It doesn't help us to hold money for 3 days or anything like that. We definitely have no intention to do that. So and for most, hopefully it'll be we do our best to get the best tenants in there, but with all of our screening, sometimes they just pay. That's paying on time. Sometimes they pay late. So, all right. This has been the update. Hopefully that informs you. It's not the best news, but that's how it is, okay? So we'll get you paid. We'll get that money to you. And we just wanted you to know what happens behind the scenes. We're doing all of this so you don't have to do all of this. You don't have to collect the funds. You don't have to deal with the insufficient funds or bad checks that they wrote occasionally, or rescissions that happen and things like that, or even just the holds. We do all that accounting, and by the 15th, money just shows up in your account, and that's what we do. All right. Well, this has been Sean and Christina with Pretty Home Realty. Today we're in the beautiful city of Birmingham, Michigan, on our way to the office, and